Hi people, this video is part of my series where I showcase teams from MDE Teams Guide sheet, which you can find a link to in the description. The showcase will only be showing floors 11 to 15, since the guide already gives enough information on what you should do before that. Now let us get started. Today I'm going to showcase the Bleed+Burn+Poise team from the sheet, and this time I'm showcasing the non-Pequods team from the sheet. What does this mean? Well, this is an alternative variation where you don't have to use the 3 Pequod IDs because the main team requires using all 3 Pequod IDs, and that was an issue for some people. So this is an alternative for that, and this team is possible because of the release of Homeglue, Cinq East Homeglue. So there's that. There's one thing that might seem a bit odd, and that is having Hornet Mersault at number 1 instead of Ryoshu. But the reasoning for that is similar as to why we have Pequodishman at number 1 in the main team, and that is because of the 4-coin skill tree that Hornet Mersault has, and with that he can benefit more from plus 4 coin power from Bloody Mist and for the couple gifts. And well, with 4 coins plus 4 coin power, that's plus 16 compared to Ryoshu getting plus 4 from that only. And Ryoshu has an issue of having a bit unreliable clashing since it's a 1-coin skill tree, right? So it's always useful to have one ID that's practically guaranteed to win your clashes. And that's the job of Hornet Mersault, and obviously he also has good damage because of the AoE damage, but it's not going to be as good as Ryoshu. Ryoshu is going to be most of your damage, but still it's good to have one reliable clasher. And you also don't lose much from Ryoshu being number 2 in the first place, so you are not losing much at all in terms of Ryoshu's damage. In terms of Ryoshu's, I guess, well, clashing is already unreliable, so the plus 4 is not going to change much. So yeah, and you are gaining one ID that's practically guaranteed to clash. And also Hornet Mersault gets additional benefits for the Cabo gift, additional damage and tremor burst and haste, I believe, because he's an ammo ID. So there's also that benefit. And if you get secret bosses, he also gets, like Valentina secret boss for example, he gets additional benefits on that too. So Hornet Mersault also is he just benefits better from the gifts. Obviously, if you're doing the damage setup for Ryoshu's skill tree 2, then you can switch Ryoshu to number 1 position and well, do your damage setup probably in floor 15 against Brittle of Infinity, against the robots, and you can get about 100,000 or so damage probably doing that. So yeah, I threw that number randomly, like 100,000 damage, but it depends a lot on your ego gift, your setup and stuff. I think 100,000 is like what I got with Bleed+Poise. And yeah, I mean, it's decent damage. I'm not, one of those like people that can do some very high amount of damage setups, like maximum possible damage kind of thing. So 100,000 is good enough for me, to be honest. Anyway, what else you need is, well, sacrifices for Ryoshu. You need to sacrifice House of Spiders IDs. This section has a bit of an explanation on that, but basically you kill these IDs in floor 1 and they stay dead because of the ego gift. And for the non-Pequod team, you have Yisang, Heathcliff, Rodion and Otis as your sacrifices, 4 sacrifices. Before we were going for 5 sacrifices with Ring Faust, but we realized that going from 4 to 5 sacrifices doesn't bring you much, and using She-Faust on the main team instead was more beneficial. So we went for that, and well, we decreased it to 4 sacrifices. Ring Faust as a sacrifice also doesn't bring much either. But if you, for example, are missing one of these 4 IDs and you have Ring Faust, then you can change it and, have that sacrifice, because having 4 sacrifices is more important for Ryoshu. So make sure to do that. You can see possible substitutes here. Well, Ancorp Sinclair is already in the main team, but this substitute section is, I guess, supposed to be for both teams. For the non-Pequod team specifically, Middle Heathcliff would be a viable substitute for, well, instead of Ancorp Sinclair if you don't have him. The issue with that is that Ancorp Sinclair has a Vrat skill tree that you can use to activate for the Kappa gift, while Middle Heathcliff, first of all, he has a 1-coin skill tree and it's envy, so it's useless a bit, and middle Heathcliff also doesn't, you know, you cannot do any resonance here, yeah, so he doesn't gain much, he doesn't even gain the AoE, so he's going to be underperforming. Well, he might be performing a little bit better than Ancorp Sinclair if you're using his skill 2 and skill 1. But still, you would rather have the Brat skill 3 of Ancorp Sinclair. Still, it's a viable option. And Twin Hook Gregor is an option for, well, if you don't have She-Faust, then you can go for Twin Hook Gregor, though if you don't have She-Faust, I don't think there's a high chance that you have Twin Hook Gregor. But, well, I mean, that's the Bleed+Poise ID substitute. There's PL Mersault here, but, well, that would require removing Hornet Mersault and then running both Ancorp Sinclair and Middle Heathcliff. That's a bit iffy. And for Burn+Poise, you don't have any substitutes. For Bleed+Poise, there are some substitutes, but they are not listed here because they are, well, quite subpar, let's say. Yeah, that's the best way that I can say that, I suppose, without, you know. Well, I guess there is, like, what? Pequods Heathcliff, maybe? Maybe he's alright. There's Bleed Lineage Faust, Escorp Honglu. Of course, these also interfere with some sacrifices, so you have to be careful of that. So there's that. But yeah, if you really have to substitute the Bleed+Poise IDs, then you can check what Bleed+Poise IDs exist. Like, not on this section, because I don't really like listing all viable substitutes. You know, I can't just list all Bleed+Poise IDs here, that the substitute section will be too long, right? So, well, if you have to substitute further than that, then you would unfortunately have to check what you can do in terms of that. Anyway, let's go straight to the footage after this, yeah? I think I said all that needed to be said. We have set plushie, and we would prefer one of these because this is Clash Power +3. This would be better. I could still go for this because there is, if you get 2 enemy level up +2 trials, you get an extra eco gift choice, and I'm still missing all of the gifts. Like, if I get the tier 3 thing gift which fuses with this, that would be nice. Do I gamble for that and get the Clash Power? Clash Power is, if this was base power it would be worse, but we're already getting base power for set plushie, so let's see. And I did get it, very nice. That was a good gamble. Anyway, I will show the gifts that we'll need on the screen, and we immediately have the Day Hang fight here, which is one of the more important gifts from the MDA gifts that we are going to take. So let's go there. For the backups, we are killing these for House of Spiders IDs, as explained in the intro, and we have an extra Gregor ID. I put Twin Hook Gregor here because he's a Bleed+Poise ID. So if we ever actually need like an actually useful backup ID, then he can be used. Otherwise, if you don't have Twin Hook Gregor, you can probably just rotate a Gregor ID for Starlight. The support passives won't matter too much. And yeah. In terms of Ego Gifts, I have these are the standard burn fusions. This is the burn fusion from textbook pack. These are the standard poise fusions, and these are the standard bleed fusions. And I can show the gifts slowly. I am missing both faith and piece of relationship, so we're going to try and get those hopefully. But other than that, I think my gifts are fine. Oh, Day Hang isn't going to clash much, since there is a free Morastas here. And because of the Morastas, I would say this is like one of the better options for floor 15. Obviously the best option is the Breed of Infinity. They're just punchbacks. And it's also a good pack for like damage screenshots, so why not, right? As you can see, Mercer, the number 1 position, is clashing quite well. And because he has 4 coins, he's a more reliable clasher than Rushu, who has 1 coin skill tree. That damage was mostly from special contract, I don't think he dealt 13,000 damage there. But yeah. That's 74 without having the Ego gift from Neiheng, which we'll get now. That was a very fast floor. With this Ego gift, if you get 4 Rat Resonance, you get plus 2 coin power and plus 30% damage on him. For 4 Rat Resonance, you can use Rush's skill tree, Corp Sinclair's skill tree, Hornet Mersault's skill tree. And for the 4th one, you either use skill 2 or evade of one of the 2 Cinq East IDs, Cinq East Dawn or Cinq East Honglu. Both of them have Wrath evade and Wrath skill 2s. So you would use one of them, depending on, whichever one you have, I suppose. And outside of the Wrath Resonance, because he also spends ammo, he gets haste next turn, he triggers Terror Burst, it's 2 times per turn, so 2 Terror Bursts per turn. And after Clash Win, okay, this one isn't, this Wrath damage isn't going to be much, but this 2 Terror Bursts, that's pretty good, I would say. On hit also, so on a first hit and a second hit, that would be 2 bursts. So that's quite useful. Let's get Starlight. I used too much Starlight in this one, I think, for pack searches. We want to avoid base and clash powers, and well, final power is like worse than clash power, but still clash power isn't amazing. I think I'll go for these 2. We can go for this is also one of the packs that we need. Now secret boss so far.
깨끗한 세계를 세우라.
This pack is a bit long, but it's not a big issue. This is also, I would say, a good floor 15 option if you have to take it. Same. Curse of Gifts, I finally got renewed merch. If I had this before, I would probably have much more upgrades, because upgrades cost much cheaper with this. I got it late. I still got a few upgrades after this, but well, yeah. Anyway, other than that, I didn't get anything new really. Oh, that's not a good win rate, so let's do this. And that should be fine. The reason I said this is an easy pack is because of HP gates on the Pequods fight. You'll see that when we get to him. This initial section is actually more tricky sometimes. Because of adversities, you can get staggered during this phase. No, before this phase, and then enter this phase while being staggered. And that would mean that you would actually take damage, and some of your IDs might actually die from that. So that's like one issue with this pack. And that's why I would only suggest this pack on floor 15 if you have good healing, to not get staggered from damage adversities, like damage per turn adversities. If you can get to Pequods, there is no issue. There's not going to be any issue. Win rate, and that should be fine. I'm not going to do Wrath Resonance too much yet, I can do it when we get to Pequods. Oh, and where is it? She's doing the bow thing. An absolutely useless gimmick. That deals less than her regular skill tree. and you have to use a defensive skill before that to activate it. I mean, it was forcefully activated because of because you have to use defensive skills against those attacks, I guess.
대상턱, 철침탄, 프렌치샷, 확산탄, 임상시험 성공.
Because I didn't do Rat Resonance and because I didn't care who he was targeting, who Myrtle was targeting, he clashed quite a bit less. But he should clash fine when we get to Pequods. Sometimes you have to be careful about the burn potency of the enemy that he's clashing, because sometimes the enemy just doesn't have enough burn potency and he doesn't get his coin power conditions, and that is why he clashes lower.
목표 확인.
Well, that's not a good win rate. Maybe we can do the Rat Resonance now. Does it matter? Not really. They are probably going to die before the Rat Resonance is even
반드시 적중합니다.
like useful.
사장력.
저는 경고했는데 말이죠.
귀와 요격. 눈을 떨굴 수밖에.
그 오늘을 가져가라.
Now we get to the final phase, and this is the easiest phase of the fight. So congratulations, you got past the hardest phase,
라만차랜드.
which wasn't particularly difficult. In this phase, you completely ignore his attacks, his actual attacks, and just go for the defensive skills. The reason for that is the HP gates, because if you hit him enough, you just completely skip the turn.
피하지 마세요.
Because that is what happens when you hit the HP gate, you skip the turn, and thus you skip the attacks. That's decent clashing, I would say. There was one Tails. And you already hit the HP gate with 2 skills, as you saw. Again, we are ignoring this attack.
불길 속으로.
대상턱,
I would say that's also decent clashing, yeah. And just from 2 hits of that, you already hit the HP gate. He has 15 speed and, well, 4 of my ADs outspeed him. Let's actually do this for the Rat Resonance. And this is a damage, this is a skill that doesn't even deal damage, but you will still hit the HP gate because you are just faster. Oh, I may actually saw his coin reuse. And now he's just staggered. So you're just... basically you're just bullying an elderly person. It's like you're going to a retirement home and punching a grandpa. I think this is what that fight... that is what this fight is. Practically. Please don't actually do that though. Anyway, we got this gift for this healing. It's not too much, but if you get the healing, you also get attack power up, which is a little bit more like mildly useful. More useful than what other options we had, honestly, for the MDE packs. So yeah. We will just go for those trials, I think. And we don't need Grand Welcome, so we get Vestige. Now we need Burst of 8 and line 5. I think I'll go to Burst of 8 and leave line 5 to floor 14. And that's a secret boss. That should be either Rien or Callisto. Let's see which one we get.
등롱을 밝혀 앞길을
I think Rien will be more beneficial than Callisto. And that is Rien. Shouldn't be too difficult. I think we are at floor 13, yes?
신의 바람이 되도록
This sounds a
당신의
blonde
죽음만큼은
skill.
아니었으면 좋겠어.
Surely Sinclair can't clash that.
1회 초과 예약은
Let's see what she
금지되어
says though.
있어서요.
환희가 찾아올 것 같거든.
Okay, I didn't fully see what she was saying. It was something about hating him, I would assume. This says favored, but it will clash a little bit better than that when we get to Red Resonance. This one's a blonde skill, but don't really have a blonde skill to match that. This first skill should be... Your first clash here should be against these weaker skills, so that you have a higher chance of winning the clash and, you know, inflicting the sinking and lowering his sanity. The target is Faust, so she also should clash against one of those skills, one of the lower skills. Then there's this. Can you actually clash that? Oh, you have low speed. You can only clash that, and then I kind of don't want you to clash that. Yeah, even the minimum is higher than your maximum. You can go unopposed, sure. Do you have an evade? No, you don't. You have regular guard. I don't think you can win the clash, but you can at least evade. And you can win that clash, and maybe you can tank a little bit of that. 103, that's not 165, right? So she might not die from that, even without defensive skill. They are kind of trusting it too much on this favored skill, but the next one is dominating at least, so there's that. Let's see how it goes.
그려낸 대로.
하나.
Well, that went well. Now he's at 15 sanity, and this was a dominating clash either way.
대상 확인. 철침탄.
We had
프렌치샷.
2 turn bursts there.
임상시험 성공.
Now he has even lower sanity, minus 35.
베어내리라.
This should lower it even more, I think. Minus 30. 38.
낮도 밤도 지나 숨이 타도록 베어낼 뿐. 낮도 밤도 지나
And the coin reuse
숨이
because of
타도록
rusty coin.
베어낼 뿐.
Not coin reuse, but skill reuse, I guess. Because you're reusing the entire skill, not just one coin of the skill.
정리놔.
It doesn't change much.
다섯.
I think we might hit the HP gate this time.
이번엔 베어내자.
그 오물을
At least he has paralyze. And yeah, we did hit the HP gate, so now we have Furioso, I think. The Furioso Crescendo. Probably not the normal one. We skipped that.
네프.
Yeah, Furioso Crescendo. 3 of our IDs are faster though. This is a favorite clash. I can let all of these 3 skills go first and then, you know, clash with like this or that, I suppose. But this is a much more reliable clashing skill. It shows 68 because there is no burn on the enemy. He needs burn on the enemy. Burn or bleed, but well, there is only 1 burn there. These you can inflict that burn, and that will give 3 more coin power. So that will be plus 12 more, which would be 80. And I think that would be basically a dominating clash. The rest, well, defensive skills don't get triggered. Oh, I should do this. Defensive skills don't get triggered, so there isn't any meaning to using them.
하지만 있다면
But you also can,
이
you know,
순간이 닿도록
just
베어내리라.
ignore defensive skills.
낮도 밤도 지나 숨이 타도록 베어낼 뿐. 낮도 밤도 지나 숨이 타도록 태우네.
대상 확인.
Oh,
절침탄.
we won the clash.
프렌치샷. 목산탄. 임상 시험
Now it decreases its sanity. He has SP protection here, I think, so his sanity didn't decrease too much. But still. He isn't dealing much damage. Now we are back to this. He only has 10,000 HP. We can just go fully unopposed, to be honest. Let's just do that. We don't have to clash anything. We cannot do... Oh, well, we can do for resonance like this. But should we? I feel like extra damage from having one more skill is better than buffing this even more.
발광.
Anyway, let's
이
go for
순간이
it.
닿도록
I feel like we can deal 10,000 damage.
낮도 밤도 지나 숨이 타도록 베어낼 뿐. 낮도 밤도 지나 숨이 타도록
Russia alone did like 6,000. Surely we can finish the job. Yeah, I mean, Russia had myself were enough for that. That was good judgment. We get the coin power. We get this based on sinking on the enemy and poison self, so that's also cool. You can inflict sinking without, you know, having a sinking team, just as we did in this fight. We can also have poise without poise IDs, but this is a poise team too, so that's we can get much faster. And well, a lot of the IDs do have unbreakable coins, so that's also good. This doesn't matter, we don't have index IDs, but still, additional to the coin power, we still get good buffs from this. So this is one of the better secret boss gifts, I would say, alongside Valentina's secret boss gift.
불로 정화하고 깨끗한 세계를 세우라.
Well, I'm still missing Piece of Relationship and Faith. Did get a secret boss gift, I got some more random gifts, and I upgraded most of my important gifts at this point. By this point, I should say. That's a neutral. Okay. This is one of the reasons I hate this spec. I dislike this spec in higher floors because for some reason you just cannot clash well here. Even though we have a secret boss. That's a neutral clash. These are favored. We got the Brat Resonance, but these are all. That's favored. That's favored. At least now it's all favored. But yeah, especially at like floors 14 or 15, these dolls can actually clash quite high. So that's why I don't like them. Here it's still kind of fine, I would say. Let's see. It would have been better if we had Piece of Relationship at least, but well, you cannot have everything that you want in this world.
낮도 밤도 지나 숨이 타도록 베어낼 뿐. 낮도 밤도 지나 숨이 타도록 베어낼 뿐. 양종.
This body parts has low HP, I think, so it just dies from one skill or two. So we should be focusing more on the dolls, I think. I don't think it matters to do the red resonance, so we'll just ignore that for now.
불길 속으로.
단수가 이어졌다면 낮도 밤도 지나 숨이 닿도록 베어낼 것. 낮도 밤도 지나 숨이 닿도록 베어낼 것.
대상 확인. 절침탄. 트랜지션. 확산탄. 임상시험 성공.
이번엔 베어내자. 숨막히도록 견뎌왔고 절박하듯 갈망했으니 헤아릴 수 없이 저주했으니.
Oh, okay. If we want to, we could do this, but maybe we could save it. But save it for what exactly, right? And if we also just kill this, the fight ends. So I am focusing on this. We can only focus on this when this body part comes out, this cool body part.
이 순간이
필중
다
의지만 있다면
Because in the previous one, if we did previous turn, the body part would break and then we wouldn't be able to continue attacking.
예측 의미 글쓰아이군 몰아치 처절한 원망.
I guess that's enough for the achievement, if I need to complete that. I think I can generate... Well, not exactly. It's just struggling anyway. Just do that hopeless clash. And maybe these attacks can just deal with it before you do this hopeless clash. Sinclair clashes more, so maybe we just do that. That makes more sense.
귀와 요격 함수 정민화 귀와 요격.
That's the skill 3 too. This usually deals nice damage.
이 순간이 다
Oh, but the body part broke, so
베어내리라.
she couldn't continue attacking. That's unfortunate.
낮도 밤도 지나 숨이 닿도록 베어낼 것. 낮도 밤도 지나 숨이 닿도록 베어낼 것.
그 오물을 떼어내주지.
대상 확인. 절침탄. 트랜지션. 확산탄. 임상시험 성공.
Well, one of the parts are broken and the other part is going to die. 91 clashing there. So yeah. I don't think we're going to get to that clash though, because the others have
피하지
to
마세요. 잘못 맞으면 죽습니다.
finish it. And we actually saw his coin reuse again. I think this is the second time in this run. But yeah, it's quite rare, and that's like one issue about Cinq Stone Gloom. It feels like all of his like skills have one less coin than it should have, and it's instead a coin reuse. But you don't see the coin reuse enough to justify that. I guess we can do that. And maybe just focus there. That should be fine.
필중 의지만 있다면
I think one or two of the chickens will survive, but we can just kill them next time. That should be fine.
이 순간이 닿도록 베어내리라. 사냥 끝. 예측 의미 글쓰아이군 몰아치는 것.
Clashing and damage achievements are a joke in this season.
피하지
Honestly.
마세요. 잘못 맞으면
Last season you at least had to do something. to get the 15,000 damage achievement, or the previous season the 10,000 achievement, 10,000 damage achievement, you would have to do some ego strat with Yearning Mirkala or Tears of the Tarnished Blood, or maybe Time Moratorium, Seeking Dirge. You would have to do something. But in this season, we just have one ID with a very strong skill, and it just randomly gets 20,000 damage.
이번엔 베어내죠.
One example is Roshu, another example is, well, Ring Honglu. He can also just randomly get 20,000 damage. Dimension Shadow Cinq can do that, ADT Gregor can do that. Who else? Well, someone with good AoE can do that, I guess.
베어내리라.
Good AoE that's not unfocused volley probably. But yeah. Went for the spec, not for the burn potency. I don't think the burn potency matters, but this offense level is pretty good. On skill use against enemies that have burn, the set skill gains offense level equal to burn potency divided by 10. So if the enemy has 80 burn potency, you get 8 offense level. And this doesn't specify that it's only for the skill set inflict burn. So it's for all IDs in the team. So Ishmael and Faust also gets this. So that's also nice. I guess we'll do that. Vestige. Now I want line 5 if possible. I don't see Shadowbound Cannon here, so do I risk refresh or do I just go? I think I don't want to risk it. Let's just go.
제한 명령 지역으로 이동.
Action 1. We didn't get another secret boss so far. I only managed to get these two gifts. I didn't get Shadowbound Cannon. But I got Piece of Relationship. So I guess that's 1 step backwards, 2 step forwards. I think the saying is normally 1 step forwards, 2 steps backwards, right? But I feel like Piece of Relationship is better, so... Anyway. That should be fine.
불길 속
And arguably we got the easiest faction. We shouldn't face any issues here. And the Piece of Relationship should help. The offense level from Burning Fate should help as well.
무시하지 마세요. 잘못 맞으면 죽습니다. 그 오물을
Even Sinclair can win clashes.
귀와 요격, 함수, 정민화.
대상 타기.
I guess I'm still missing Fate though.
트랜지션.
We'll see if we can get that.
임상 시험 성공.
이번엔 베어내죠.
At this point even win rate should be fine.
이
필중
순간이
의지만
다
있다.
베어내리라. 낫도
First turn is usually the one that has the most issues in MD. After first turn,
낫도 밤도치.
usually you have no issues in clashing or damage,
베어낼
because you get all of your buffs by that point. I guess we can do something like that. Might as well clash with that.
한 수 부탁드릴게요.
마무리. 이 순간이 닿도록 베어내리라. 낮도 밤도 지나 숨이 닿도록 베어냈군. 낮도 밤도 지나 숨이 닿도록 베어냈군. 핫! 이번엔 베어내자.
대상 확인. 철침탄. 트랜지션. 확산탄. 임상 시험 성공.
That was a close clash.
떼어내주지.
숨막히도록 견뎌왔고 절박하게 갈망했으니
That special contract damage.
헤아릴 수 없이
Even
저지했으니
Ryoshi doesn't deal that much damage with one coin. With one coin. If we do that, it actually targets all three. Maybe that skill just can kill all three of them. We also have a sharp thread and needle, I think.
조여목구를 달고 볼까? 사냥 끝. 예측. 불사이군. 몰아친 것을. 처절한 원문.
All that kills those. Now we are in this fight, in this boss fight. Let's do that perhaps, so that we can hit that body part. I want to do the breath resonance as well. Maybe like that. Like that. That should work.
빗속에서 이 순간이 닿도록 베어내리라. 낮도 밤도 지나 숨이 닿도록 베어냈군. 낮도 밤도 지나 숨이 닿도록 베어냈군.
I feel like Monet Marsault has better single target damage, right?
대상 확인. 철침탄. 트랜지션. 확산탄.
I mean, it's also AoE,
임상
so
시험 성공.
still.
피하지 마세요.
Most of it is unfocused ability, but the last coin actually hits all enemies.
귀와 요격. 함수. 정리노화.
그 오물을 떼어내주지.
핫. 이번엔 베어내자.
Oh yeah, hit an event. Attack the body. I think damage rate should be
이
fine.
순간이
쭉
닿도록
있지만 있다.
베어내리라. 낮도 밤도 지나 숨이 닿도록 베어냈군.
And that's the end of the floor. We didn't get Shatterbound Cannon. I don't think we have it in floor clear rewards. I think I will just do that. I could gamble with it with the enemy level up +2 trials, but I don't want to. There's a much lower chance of getting tier 4 gift from that. Virgilius is a fast fight. I just want to end this and go to sleep, to be honest. I feel kind of tired. Let's just do that.
동구 쉔크 3과 돈키호테.
Let's do a final recap. These are the fusions, and I will show the gifts slowly. Most are upgraded. I did manage to get Fate at the end, so that's something. We got these two very late. And we had, where is it? One secret boss. So there's that. Let's do it with Dawn, maybe. No, she's... okay. I always like to offset the evades of enemies that have evades. He does actually flash a bit high. But, oh, he also has high speed. Okay, that's unlucky. Yeah, that's the reason he can do that. Then you have skill 2 there. Just do defense. Hopeless. I mean, you have sanity. But now the skills hit that. That skill hits that. That's such an... well, I don't want to do that, so let's do that. Like this. The speed RNG is pretty bad here. I don't want to restart for that though.
중 의지만
오물을 떼어내주지.
Sinclair can reduce the SP.
대상 파괴, 절침탄, 트랜지션, 확산탄, 임상시험 성공.
Okay. All because of the speed RNG, by the way.
이 순간이 다하도록 베어내리라. 낮도 밤도 지나 숨이 다하도록 베어낼 뻔. 낮도 밤도 지나 숨이 다하도록 베어낼 뻔. 야! 마무리! 목표 확인.
Two of our allies are staggered, but they are not dead. Though I don't know if it's good that they are not dead, to be honest. They might be more useful dead. I think I would prefer to use not ultimate and... the clashes are like that because of the paralyze now. So the clashing predictions are fake. Do I still trust that? Maybe I can evade it. Or, well... she can also reduce
불길
sanity.
속으로
이 순간이 다하도록 베어내리라. 낮도 밤도 지나 숨이
I don't
다하도록
think he's going to
베어내리라.
clash much. We are in the second turn.
낮도
We have
밤도
all of the
지나
buffs. We inflicted all of the
숨이
debuffs.
다하도록 베어낼 뻔.
Roshu now actually deals damage. Oh, you got the coin reuse on skill 2.
대상 확인, 절침탄, 트랜지션, 확산탄,
That's good
임상시험
damage.
성공.
그 오물을 떼어내주지.
Oh, I didn't realize there was another skill.
찾아왔을 뿐이야.
It doesn't matter.
숨막히도록 견뎌왔고 절박하게 갈망했으니
Does this kill?
헤아릴 수 없이 저주했으니
It kills. And that was 2 turn. Now I guess final thoughts. As you can see, Ryushu didn't really lose her damage. She still had half of the damage in this team while being at number 2 position. While Mersault, well, he benefited a lot when he was at number 1 position. He clashed quite high and dealt a lot of damage. Right. Honglu, when he got the coin reuse, he was slightly better than Dawn. Otherwise, I think they were mostly equal. But we only saw Honglu's coin reuse like 3 or 4 times during the entire run. I think that's the issue with him, honestly. Like, all of his skills look like they have 1 less coins than they should have. Especially when you compare to Dawn. And then you realize, oh, it's just coin reuse. Like, all of his coins are hidden behind coin reuse. And he can get that easily in, like, against one boss. In, like, story, for example. But in MD, you usually kill bosses in, like, 2 turns, right? Like Virgilius, we killed him in 2 turns, or sometimes in 1 turns, and you always fight a lot of enemies, right? And because of that, Honglu just cannot really shine that much. And well, these are the rest, I suppose. These are the IDs that got, you know, sacrificed to Ryushu to buff this damage. I think they were still flashing fine, like, except Mersault and Ryushu. Ishmael, Faust, and the Cinq IDs, the 2 Cinq IDs, they were fine. They weren't, you know, super reliable. Like, they weren't as reliable as Mersault for sure. Like, Mersault was the emergency clash win button, basically. Also, the reason for this is because I had no loadout, and I also spent too much on pack searching. Normally you would definitely have much more starlight than that. This is just, you know, me screwing up. Anyway, but yeah, as I was saying, we didn't really have much issues in terms of clashing. We also got a secret boss, so I guess we have to subtract that. But still, Mersault was basically an automatic clash win button. And Ryushu, she has the issue of having unreliable clashing because of 1 coin, but still it clashed fine, yeah. And obviously she had most of the damage, so you could say that she was responsible for damage, and he was responsible for clashing, perhaps. And the rest of the IDs were keyword slop. They're just to fulfill the keywords, and well, Sinclair performed the worst, obviously, both in clashing and damage. But he's there for the rat skill tree, so that we can, you know, get the forward resonance for the couple gift. So that's his job there. And even outside of that, there aren't that good, like, Bleed+Burn ID options. Otis you would prefer to sacrifice to Ryushu. There is a middle Heathcliff, Ricardo Heathcliff. But, well, he's enemy and he doesn't get the enemy resonance. And without the enemy resonance, 1 coin skill 3, that's not AoE anymore. That's, you know, it would be similar to damage to Encore Sinclair, honestly. And Encore Sinclair at least has Rat skill 3. He at least benefits the team with the Rat resonance thing. But Ricardo Heathcliff won't benefit with anything, honestly. So yeah. Overall, still, I would say that this is definitely a worse team compared to the main variation, compared to the Pequod team, the team that uses Pequod Ishmael. I think that's a bit obvious though, because you have an ID that is another ID that is triple status and actually benefits well from triple status. You would definitely prefer to have that than to not. But this is more of a copium team anyway. Both for people that don't have all 3 of the Pequod IDs, because remember, you need to have Pequod Ishmael, Heathcliff and Yisang in the team to use Pequod Ishmael, so she needs quite a bit of support in that regard, and that's an issue with her. And also this team became possible because of Cinq East Honglu release, and he doesn't contribute to literally anything else in the guide, so like I guess this was also an excuse to use him. Still, I think this is like a viable variation, no? For people that want to use this, I think we still had a good run. It's not like we had a bad run, I would say. We didn't face any issues with Rien, I would say. But yeah, you can find the list of the packs in the guide. And we didn't have bad trials, I would say. And yeah, I think that's the end of the run. Thank you for watching, and see you the next time. Goodbye.